So good afternoon, everyone. This is Christine Krieger with the Colorado State Library. I'm the professional development consultant here, and I am thrilled to see so many people on today. As I mentioned earlier when we were introducing ourselves in the chat, and if you haven't had a chance to, feel free to, that when I logged in to open the room, there were already about 15 people waiting. So I think we have a really great session ahead of us today. Before we get started with our main presenters, I just want to briefly introduce CSL in session to you in case you haven't attended before. Many of you are probably familiar with sort of one-way webinars where you just kind of kick back and listen, maybe check Facebook, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to kind of shake things up a little bit for you and hopefully be able to hear from your all's experience and expertise moving forward. The main way that you all will participate today is through the chat window in the lower left-hand corner. Most of you have used the opportunity to introduce yourself, letting us know who you are and where you're from, which is awesome. If by chance you need to get a hold of me for any reason, if you hover up in the upper left-hand corner where it says Colorado State Library, if you just hover over it, you can send me a private message if you encounter any audio issues, etc. We are also recording today's session. The archive will be available later this afternoon on the CSL In Session website. And I think we have a poll for you and a couple other chat opportunities as we go through today's session, but we will walk you through how to do all of those. So, without further ado, I am going to take this opportunity to introduce our speakers for today. We have Pamela Mejia de Rodriguez, sorry, Pamela, I was going to do it just right, Rodriguez, who is our Regional Early Literacy Specialist for the Colorado State Library, and Beth Christ, who is our Youth and Family Services Consultant for the Colorado State Library. So I'm going to hand it over to our presenters for today.
Hi, Christine, you did great. I know it's a long name, so don't worry about it. So I think before we start, we have the poll, right? So we have a question. If do you consider your library to be baby friendly? Yes, will be. We are super baby friendly, or I think we are baby friendly, or we are working on it, or what is baby friendly even? So take your time to answer those questions, and I'm going to just introduce myself. My name is Pamela Mejia, like Christine said, and I'm the Regional Early Literacy Specialist for the Colorado State Library. I've been a preschool teacher and early childhood specialist for a little bit more than 11 years now. And let me tell you, each time I learn something new from babies, toddlers, and preschoolers. I can say that humans are interesting beings. So I also consider myself a continuous learner, a work in process. And the things I will be sharing with you today are related with my experience in Colorado and out of Colorado. That doesn't mean that's the way you have to do it. There are just suggestions that have worked for other libraries and for other preschool teachers like me. Throughout my work experience, let me just see the answer before I continue. So I've seen that 40% says we're working on it. That's always good. 37 says I think we are baby friendly. And 22 is yes, we are super friendly. Thank God everybody knows what is baby friendly, and they don't have that answer, that question. Okay, we can go, next to the next slide. The other one. Okay, thank you. So throughout my work experience, I have been asked a lot of time what my favorite methodology is or which one is the approach that works better for kids. And I always said, all of them. It all depends on the children you're working with. One of my favorite saying is, if a child is not learning the way you teach, you should change the way you teach. So the same way of thinking goes to the libraries. There is not a specific way of doing things, and there is not a magic recipe either. Every community is different, and that's why it makes them special. So libraries as a community hub should adapt to their communities and needs. So today we're talking about baby-friendly spaces for libraries, and I want to start with a specific topic, play. Play has been called the work of children, and for a good reason. The American Academy of Pediatrics in 2007 said that it's through play that children learn to interact with their environment, discover their interests, and acquire speech, language, new vocabulary, and cognitive, motor, and social emotional skills. So we can say that play is not just a game. Play is a learning process. So by playing, we can say that children learn problem solving, logical thinking, and creativity, among other skills in a safe, fun, and caring environment. But children learn by playing in different ways during their childhood. It all depends on the ages and the developmental milestone they reach. So before I continue, can everybody hear me? Christina, you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, perfect. So we can go to the next one. And so now let's talk a little bit about the importance of promoting early literacy practices on the libraries for babies. We call infant or baby a child from birth through 18 months. At this stage of life, children learn through their interactions with objects and people around them. When they shake a rattle or an egg shaker by moving their arms, they connect the sound with the object. And this is how they begin to understand that the arm are actually a tool for interacting with the environment. When they begin to reach and grasp with purpose, they soon discover the cause-effect relationship. They also begin non-verbal communication through eye contact and facial expressions with the play partners, with which are parents and caregivers. When the baby makes sounds and receives a reciprocal interaction or the imitation of the sound, you are creating actually a foundation for social skill development. So let's go to the next slide then. And now we're seeing some pictures of our library in Burlington. Taking those aspects in consideration, we will want to create a space that is respectful of infants, including elements that will encourage the 5 early literacy practices. The same way, we need to provide a level of comfort for adults. The needs of baby actually and toddlers and caregivers within the library setting are quite simple. They need a clean and comfortable area that allows the baby to move and to be free from constraints. Space that will keep the baby interest and also to have something that will keep the caregiver's interest as well. This can be a working station or a computer for adult use and relevant parenting materials available. Some of the solutions from other libraries when installing a workstation like this are to position the seat in a way that the caregiver can face into the play area. This allows the adult to monitor play activity while conducting necessary computer tasks. Other ideas that we have seen around libraries is setting a mommy nursery corner with a rocker chair or a comfortable sofa chair. Those chairs can be located in such a way that a parent can observe toddler playing while they're nursing. Other ideas are designated eating areas or bathroom with a table for changing diapers. So in some occasions, rearranging your space can simply mean to remove a few pieces of furniture to create a more open space. In this slide that we're looking right now, we have some pictures of Burlington Public Library at Colorado. So some facts, I want to just say some facts about Burlington. According to the 2016 United States Census Bureau, the city has a total of 4,185 people. This year, they are part of the grant called Growing Roots Together, a grant funded by the Bill Foundation for the Colorado State Library. Through this grant, they receive a budget to invest in early literacy resources and materials in order to support caregivers in their community. 3,625 were used for rearrange the library children's space. We can observe in this picture some elements that make a space more baby-friendly, like a floor carpet that will allow babies to crawl, an open space that will allow them to move with more freedom, chairs and tables for caregivers allowing them to sit and observe the baby, face-out child-level displays. By using this kind of displays, you will encourage toddlers and babies in walking ages to explore and choose books. Let's go to the next slide. So this is Alamosa, Colorado. In this second slide, we're looking at some pictures of the children's place in Alamosa. We can say that Alamosa is double the size of Burlington, with a population of 8,780, according to the 2017-2018 census. Alamosa is also part of the Growing Readers Together grant, and they used $2,100 for their children's space. We can also observe in this picture some elements that make space a more friendly one, baby-friendly one, like the floor carpet, an open space, chair, sofa, and bench for caregivers to sit down and observe the babies, face-out displays and child-level displays. We can also see low tables and chairs for toddlers to sit, stuffed animals, and manipulative displays for babies and toddlers to engage senses like touch, hearing, and sight. With the collaboration of community partners, they were able to create those displays on the wall. So if you have community partners that can help you to set and build some things, it's good because you engage your community and they feel part of the project you're doing and they feel more welcome into your library. And then it maybe can be even cheaper than just buying it. So let's go to the next slide. And just give me a second, let's see. So with the other two libraries examples and what we have learned until now, I want you to take a look of these pictures. This one is in Fountain, Colorado. And in the chat in the left side of the window, can you just answer what elements can you observe in these pictures that makes a more baby-friendly space? Let's see. Manipulative, yes. That's correct. Toys, yeah. Close to the ground, yes. Easy access for toddlers. Low seating, yeah. Pillows, rocks, yes. Friendly, yeah. Engaging, that's correct. All of those questions, thank you for answering them. Yes. Thank you, everybody, for answering these questions. And I wanted to add this aspect, creativity, because sometimes it's about taking advantage of your space, what you already have. I remember one time when I was a preschool teacher, after I arranged most of my classroom setting for a new school year, I was missing the writing center. And I didn't have more room for another center. And I have an empty space by the wall of windows. So I had an idea. I decided to go to the outside, and from the outside I covered part of the window with white paper and let the other one without paper. And ta-da! I have my whiteboard and dry erase board. Another example is from one of our libraries. They use the side of the books displays to set some games at children's levels. That's, for me, genius, and I've seen it in a lot of our libraries now. And just to wrap up with the spaces now, we can say that we need to make it safe, of course, for babies and toddlers. We need to make it welcoming and engaging for babies. Remember, positive memories will increase learning and the desire to return to the libraries. We need to make it developmentally appropriate, encouraging for parents and baby interactions, instructive with early literacy activities, and of course, fun. And that's it for me, just right now.
And Beth, for some reason, I'm not hearing you. Are other people hearing Beth right now? I have a feeling
Anything?
somehow. Oh, there we go.
Oh dear.
You're back. No, you're good.
Oh,
You're
am I back?
Yep.
Am I back? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, we keep having some little audio glitches here. Thank you for your patience, everyone. I'll start again. Stephanie, I will jump in and answer your great question. Yes, we can make these slides available as well as we're recording this whole session, so you get the whole archive as well if you want to go through it. So you get it both ways. But great question. So I was just thanking Pamela. You gave such a great introduction to why it's important to make your library baby friendly and how you can do your space. And I think the examples you gave were great because they demonstrate that you don't need a huge amount of space in your library or a lot of money, and you can still make really important improvements on making your library baby friendly. And I'm going to move into programs because that's another way that you can make your library more baby friendly. So I'm going to give you some examples here of programs for babies, and then we will go into a discussion to get some of your thoughts and ideas and experiences on programs for babies. So of course the most common baby program program for babies in public libraries are story times, and these can either be all ages or story times just for babies. And we have an example here on the bottom left of your screen. This is a music and movement story time at the Mamie Dowd Eisenhower Library in Broomfield, Colorado. This is a lot of fun, very developmentally appropriate. There are a lot of great reasons to incorporate music and movement into your story times. I'm sure a lot of you do that program already. Here on the right, bottom right, this is a market-themed story time at the Lafayette Public Library, also in Colorado. And again, I'm sure many of you do baby story times or all ages story times. And this, having it themed each week or certain story time sessions themed is a great way to engage. And you can see in both of these that the parents are super engaged with their babies at this program, which is great. That's really important at baby programs to model for parents, give them early literacy tips along the way, along with those Every Child Ready to Read tips and activities incorporating read, write, talk, sing, and play. And to get the parents so involved, as you can see in these photos, is really, really critical. The photo on the top is a great example from the Aurora Public Library, also in Colorado. They brought the Aurora Police Department to their parking lot to do a child's car safety seat check, which is a great idea. Bring in other parts of the community, community services to your library. Get them all engaged in making your library more and whole community more baby friendly, right? Here's some more programs. The top is a community baby shower. This is a great idea. This particular example is from Mid-Columbia Libraries, but I know the library in Fort Collins in Colorado does it too. And it's such a lovely idea. They invite expecting parents to the library for a baby shower, and they do have some kind of traditional baby games, baby shower games usually, and little gifts for the expectant parents. But also they will have community tables set up, so there can be other social services there that new parents might be very interested in. And of course, at the shower they give great early literacy information and training on brain development and things like that. Of course, as well as talking about all the great baby programs the library has to offer once their baby arrives. And on the bottom, this is probably many of you do this already also. This is an example of a summer learning program. This one is from the Booth and Dimick Memorial Library, and it is a summer program really tailored for the birth through often birth through 5-year-olds. And so here are some early literacy activities that the family engages with in order to complete the program. And then there are also, let me go back here. So along with a community baby shower, there are other ways to reach out to expectant parents. For instance, we did some research here. We had a grant called Supporting Parents in Early Literacy Through Libraries, or SPELL. And in that research, we talked with parents in low-income households and surveyed them and did focus groups with them about their barriers to using the library. And one thing they told us is that often they can't come to a story time during the week, like a weekday morning, because they're working. So it's really important to reach out to these parents, the working parents in your library, in your communities, to ask them when the best time is to reach them, the best time and place. And many of them actually said it would have been before we were pregnant or before we had a baby, while we were still pregnant. Because once the baby comes, we're so busy and we're very, very swamped and exhausted. So if you can get to them before they actually have the baby, that's great. Another program that I ran across is from the North Liberty Community Library in Iowa, and they have a great program. It's called Read to Your Bump. And they give expecting parents a free board book a month while they're pregnant. And also with programs at the library to give them information and modeling to get them started reading to their babies while they're still pregnant, to help it become a habit for when their babies come. So I really thought that was a great program, the Read to Your Bump program. What library has the Read to Your Bump program? That is the North Liberty Community Library in Iowa. I see someone from Iowa typing. If you have more information, please share it with us. Oh, great. You might want to reach out to them to find out more. There's information about their program online, and I'll find that and pop it back into the chat. Great. I'm glad you'll be reaching out to them. It sounds like a fantastic program. So again, to kind of wrap this up, it is so important in programs for babies to engage the parents actively during the programs and model for parents what it means to read a book aloud to a baby, other early literacy activities that you can incorporate, that they can incorporate into their daily lives. Offer gaming elements. I should have mentioned that back here. Both of these, well, the other one, and I'm not sure, somehow that photo isn't showing up, but I also had a mention of the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program, which is a really grassroots effort to encourage parents and caregivers to read at least 1,000 books to their children before they turn 5. And I have some more information. I'll pop that up too in the chat window here in a moment. But that is a great example along with this one about the summer learning program um, on offering gaming elements. So if you make it fun and have a gaming element, that can make it fun for both the babies and the parents and caregivers. And it can be more engaging and keep them engaged for longer, over a period of time. Scheduling baby programs evenings or Saturdays is also really important. Again, when we were talking with busy parents during our spell research, they told us, we can't come into the library during weekday mornings because we're working. So, talk to them, see what the most convenient times are. Often it is evenings and Saturdays. So definitely incorporate that in there. Anne asks, what kind of gaming elements for babies? Well, even if the gaming element is really for parents, if they're having fun, their babies are having fun. So for instance, in the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program, they keep track, the parents will keep track of how many books they've read over time, and then usually they can come back into the library and get some sort of incentive after they read. I mean, it's up to each library, but often it's 100 books. So they'll get, perhaps they'll get a board book. That would be the best, but maybe they would get a bib or a sippy cup or even a manipulative, a toy of some sort for the baby. So you're still incorporating the babies in a way in that. So yeah. And another thing I didn't really get into, but in our spell research, we also discovered something that makes complete common sense, which is the more kids parents have, the less often they read with their children because they're so busy. So one solution is to get older siblings involved in that. There are some libraries that even have formal classes for older siblings to learn how to read aloud to their younger siblings in an engaging way, involving dialogic reading and that sort of thing. So definitely get the older siblings involved if they have siblings who are in elementary school. It's great to get the whole family involved. And as Pamela put it so well, having fun for everyone in the family is really a key goal because that will really hook the young kids on reading early. And I think we'll move to our chat. And I will address some of the comment. Well, let me get you started on this chat first. So on the left, please type in any programs you do for babies. And on the right, we haven't talked much about promoting programs, but you could also talk about how do you promote programs. So you can type that in the chat windows here right up front in the little chat boxes. And then thank you, Sharon, for sharing Storyblocks. And interacting, Crystal mentions interacting with books with clapping and movement is great. Yes, it is hard. That is a really excellent point. It is hard to find the best time for everyone. It's not, no one time is going to work for everyone. That absolutely. But if you could offer at least one story time a week, let's say, in an evening or on a Saturday, that it will at least allow more working parents to be able to attend, at least occasionally. And thank you for jumping in here. These are great ideas. Kathleen mentioned an Itsy Bitsy Yoga. Love it. Baby sign language. Thanks, Jill. Toddler tales and tiny tales. Yeah?
Yeah, male caregiver baby time. I love it.
Julia, I love that you bring in a live llama for your Llama Llama Red Pajama Party. Love that. So much fun. Oh, and Jill also mentions a baby goat story time with live goats. So, in other words, bring in the animals. Who doesn't love live animals, right? That's great. And mentions book vouchers from clinics. Can you tell us more about that? That sounds really interesting. And this DIY fabric books for babies. That sounds really interesting. And including art. Yeah, Pamela mentioned the importance of creativity, and that's great to bring in the artwork and the ways to invite the families to be creative. That's a great idea. And the ways you have to promote the programs. These are great. Yeah, schools, local businesses, churches, child care centers, flyers with the local electric bill. Yep, that's a good way to do it. Social media, brochures.
And this is
Yeah, these are
Christine.
great.
Emily had mentioned Macaroni Kid, which was new to me, so I Googled it, and so I'm going to put the URL in the chat box also. Um, it looks like it's a national newsletter of things having to do with kids, so that's cool.
And I'm popping in here. This is our web page for 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. So we have a lot of resources here for how you could get that started. And I see also someone has posted about the Wichita Library's 1,000 Books program. So that's great. And Kathleen asks a great question here in the main chat. For art projects, how do you get parents to allow the baby to freely interact with materials rather than make something for them? I would love it if someone could jump in and answer that question. What works for you at your libraries? And I think in the interest of time, Christine, we'll move on, but we will also make all of these chat window chats available to you. So along with the archive and the slides of the program. So don't feel like you have to quickly write everything down. We will compile those and have those up on the CSL in Session website in a day or two. So these are great responses. Yeah, these are great. Also, you can let parents know that any kind of crafting activity is also great to help their babies get fine motor control skills and gross motor strength that they will need to help them get ready to write eventually. So if you can let them know that this is great for your baby's early literacy skills, that also might help them give away a little bit more of control if that's the issue. Just say, you know, if you... Go ahead, Pamela.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna just talk a little bit about that, like what you were saying. Sometimes parents need to know the why behind the activity. When they see baby doing a painting or what they will say, oh, that's a mess. But if you explain them why that will help your baby to fine motor skills, to language development, they will understand. And every parent wants the best for the baby and the properly development. So sometimes it's just telling them the why behind the activity, maybe a little explanation when you are telling them what to do with the activity, just a little something so they know how to help the children.
Great, thank you. That's an excellent point, Pamela. Let's see. I'm going to type in this. So I'm going to be talking about some research that we've done, again, going back to our Spell Grant. And this is a way that you can use your library policies to make your library more baby-friendly. And we did a lot of research here. I'm pointing to the white paper in the chat. That link will take you to our white paper. The author, Meg DePriest, is no longer at the State Library, but she did some really excellent research on overdue fines and fees for lost and damaged books, particularly with children's books. And so our white paper shows that overdue fines often do not, the assumptions that we make often in library land about overdue fines are often incorrect. For instance, they do not create a revenue stream. It is actually cost neutral given the costs associated with getting those overdue fines back. It does not get materials back any faster. The materials come back at just the same speed, with or without overdue fines. I see Emily is working on this. And yep, just click on this link above and you can get to the white paper. Please use it. Please read it. It has really great information in it. I won't belabor this again given our time, but basically what our white paper concludes is that we encourage libraries to do away with overdue fines for board and picture books, do away with fees for lost or damaged board books, and consider it the cost of doing business with our youngest patrons. And then have a flexible policy for lost or damaged picture books. Again, with our research on Spell, we found that fines and fees are a real barrier for particularly low-income parents to use the library or let their children check out books, which is hurting the very people that most need to use the collection. And it's really punitive for them. And it's just something we belong really strongly in. So we know more and more libraries across the country are doing away with overdue fines for at least board and picture books and children's books. So we would love to see that continue. And if you have any questions or want any help with that, please let me know at any time. We will move on to customer service. Some of the reasons that our researchers showed that people don't bring their babies into the library or won't even think of it is because it's, oh, library is a quiet place. My infant won't be welcome here. We need to be quiet, so we won't bring our baby into the library. Or other patrons might complain about a crying baby in the library. And so, of course, we don't, that is not, we want, that is like the antithesis of a baby-friendly library, right? So we want everyone to know, both parents with babies and all of the patrons to know that infants are welcome and they should be in the library. That's another thing we hear. You may have heard, oh, well, they're babies. They don't need to come to the library anyway. They can't read. Well, of course they need to come to the library. We want them in the library. So you could put on a campaign, and I love this sign right here in the Ossining Public Library, babies love books. So make it welcoming, let your community know you want infants to come to the library. And if a patron complains, perhaps you could point them to a quieter space in the library. But you might even need to explain why it is important for infants to come in and get accustomed to using the library and have their own library cards, right? So there might be a little training of your public involved in the customer service baby-friendly aspect of things. And another thing about customer service is it's great to train and empower everyone who works with the public to give parents early literacy tips and model early literacy activities every time they come in. And this can be any level, it can be shelvers, it can be the library director and everyone in between, just to say we want to make this a great experience for our youngest patrons. And here's how you can do it.
And Beth,
so expand that. Yeah.
This is Christine. I'm going to interrupt you. For some reason, I'm still seeing the policies slide. Is that what other people are seeing?
Oh. What if you try to advance it?
Let me try. Okay, so now are people seeing customer service? List of slides on that.
That's weird.
No. Okay. This is weird.
The outline is popping up on the side panel.
Oh, because I'm not seeing that. Okay. So it looks like
so you can select whichever slide you want.
We have a choose your own adventure thing happening. Oh my lord, I've never had this happen before. Well,
it looks like attendees can advance the slides.
Okay.
Live dangerously. I like Doreen. I like your style.
Okay, well, I will let Beth continue talking. We will make the slides available. I love that everybody is willing to be flexible because I literally have no idea what's going on, and we will just move forward. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We've had some quirky issues, and you've all been very patient. Thank you. If you would like to click on the collection slide. So here are some, again, most of this is pretty common sense, but it's really good to remember to offer board books in languages commonly spoken in your community, and also have wordless books. And it's also a great time to let parents know that it's really actually beneficial to read to your children in your native language. Even if that is not English and you want your child to learn English, it's best to speak both languages for their brain development. It really is important. So if you can offer this broad array of board books and wordless books, it's great. Offering parenting and early literacy collections in the children's section is great. That way the parents can pick up a book for themselves and their child at the same time. One thing our spell research showed is that some parents, they're so busy, they come into the library, they say, we just don't have time to sift through all of these books. And some of them said, I don't even know what's appropriate for a 3-month-old. What kind of book is appropriate for a 3-month-old? So one recommendation is to have books in little collections like this one pictured here at the bottom right, that are for really specific age groups like birth through 2 months, 3 months through 6 months, etc. And so then a busy parent can just say, my baby's 3 months old, what books can you suggest? And you just hand them the bag. And they've got 5 to 10 books in there. You can include other things as well, maybe put a CD in there. Oh yeah, Kelly, thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say. Just what Kelly said. So you can expand these as well to have manipulatives in there, music, maybe even a DVD. Absolutely. Oh, Jill offers even more. Dramatic play bags. This is great. And Jill also mentions the Spanish piece. So if you do have lang common languages in your community, you might want to expand that as well. Have some bags in English, some in Spanish, some in Somali, or whatever languages are appropriate for your community. Another tip along these same lines is to display, organize, and/or label books based on age levels. Again, these busy parents are like, I just don't have time to come sift through everything. Can you make it easier for me? If I have to do it all myself, I might just grab one book. But if you can offer this in a much easier format for me than to sift through it all, that would be great. And for display, as Pamela mentioned earlier, it's best to have board books in bins on the floor where babies can see and handle them. That's really important. We really want the babies to be interacting with the books. And Pamela offers encourage your bilingual patrons to keep both languages. And she offers a blog post that she's written. Thank you, Pamela. That's perfect. Absolutely. All right. So the next slide we're going to move to is outreach. If you can find that slide. I am not at all seeing what you're seeing, so I hope you can find the outreach slide. All the discussion so far has provided ideas for making your library more baby-friendly, but of course there are so many babies and families with young children that don't or can't come to your library for whatever reason. And it's really critical to provide library services to them too, especially as they're often the people that need those services the most. So the first step is really to talk with this audience to find out the best places and times to provide the services, and even find out what services they need versus which ones they can already find through other providers. So whatever gaps in the community that the library can fulfill is really, really critical. And outreach, of course, is where partnerships can really come in. Of course, they can come in across this whole range naturally, for sure. But particularly in outreach, organizations like Reach Out and Read and home visitation programs that already reach low-income parents with young children can really make ideal partners to spread messaging about early literacy and other library services. And also, with cell phones being ubiquitous, even among low-income families, delivering services virtually is an option. And I know Sharon shared the link to Storyblocks earlier, but Storyblocks is a great way. It is mobile friendly, and it they're designed to model easy rhymes and songs for parents, along with the early literacy tip as to why these are helpful. Definitely consider a virtual service of some kind. And as we said before, reaching out to people expecting their first child is a great way to connect and provide services and info before they get too busy with their baby. And here we have a picture of a baby library card from Fresno Public Library. If you can get that baby library card into the hands of parents, either before their parents or soon thereafter, during some sort of outreach event, then it's a great way to encourage families to bring their babies to the library, for sure. Or at least come to an outreach event, perhaps, that the library is offering if they're able. And we're going to go from there to the chat. And let me put Storyblocks back up here. Thanks, Dale, for asking. It's storyblocks.org. So here, if you could type in the main chat boxes here, if you have outreach programs or ideas for programs that you do, please type them in on the left. And who you partner with, either on outreach or just any baby service or program that you offer at your library. Type them in here. Yes.
Beth, well, everybody just write their ideas. I was just having a lot of difficulties with technology, but I was reading the chat, and when you guys were talking about storytime craft and all that, I think it would be just a great idea to have workshops of craft because every time we having so much to do, like after story time and craft and messy art, and we need new ideas. But at the same time, I know that a lot of you use it Pinterest. Pinterest has a lot of good ideas to link books with activities like craft. And I was just gonna give you some kind of advice, pieces of advice when I was a preschool teacher. I saw that some people just said that when they were having story times like mess art, they would just cover everything with plastic. That's an absolutely great idea. It's easier to clean after you're done, and like having wipes, like you guys were saying, and hand sanitizer. Also, if you don't have aprons available, just have old shirts or like uh, you can ask the parents to bring every time you have messy art to bring old shirts, big shirts for the kids, or you can just have like just a, a basket with all shirt and just have use them while you're having a messy art after story time.
Thank you, Pamela. That's great. It's a great idea. And you all are having some excellent, excellent ideas here. Dale, I love the idea of multi-generational programs. Why not have a family art program that appeals to all ages? That's fantastic. So Jana does a bilingual story time at a local rec center. Early literacy talks at NICUs. These are great. Yeah, outreach to child care centers for sure. Joyce, pop-up story times at the local fast food restaurant. That's great. And excellent partners, clinics, early Head Start, healthcare centers, YMCA in Colorado, the early childhood councils for sure. Presenting at conferences, yeah, early childhood conferences, that's a great idea. And reach out and read, it's just a fantastic organization. They do so much. Homeless and transitional shelters, yes, definitely. Parks and rec departments. Oh, yes, refugee programs for newcomers and food banks. These are all such great ideas. Such excellent ideas. Oh, Bright by Three. Yeah, here in, thank you, Cricket. Here in Colorado, we have a great nonprofit called Bright by Three. But you might have other, and if for those of you in other states, you may have other literacy, early literacy nonprofits that could also be a great partner. Pediatrician and dental offices. WIC, yep, great. I think I only had one migrant education programs. So we have a really strong one here in Colorado, and they work with migrant families that move around a lot, often for seasonal farm work. But they do excellent work, and they're fantastic partners for libraries. So you might have something like that near you. And the other one I had was unlicensed child care providers, the family, friend, and neighbor care. Could be another. So both licensed and unlicensed child care providers. But this is a fabulous list. I love this. So Anne, I'm going to let Pamela tackle your question. How do you find unlicensed child care providers? Nope. She may be having audio issues. Joyce might be able to jump in. And again, I apologize for the for the glitchy nature of the technology on this webinar. Sorry. But I know we're running out of time, so why don't we...
Can
Is
you
that
hear
you,
me
Pamela?
now? Yeah, and
Yes.
so the question is, how do you find the unlicensed one, right? So actually, there's not a list of unlicensed childcare provider. So that would be difficult. It all depends on your community. And at Growing Readers Together, we try to work with those unlicensed ones. And if you're a librarian, if you work in a library, you're just gonna see them around. Like you're gonna see a mom, like a lady with several kids, and you can identify that they are not all of her, or maybe just you see an aunt with her son, and then with her niece or nephew. But it's just we just have come to conclusion that just by building a relationship with your patrons and not being weird about it, just like, hey, how are you? Are you coming to the libraries? Are those your kids? We have something to give to you. We have services that you may be interested in. But there's not a list or something specific that you can find all the unlicensed one. You can just gonna be seeing them around and just try to establish a relationship, I would say.
Great. So Christine, why don't we move to the main window and we'll just take general. We have just a very short time if anyone has any last questions or comments. And then I'll just, turn it over to Christine.
So if you all have any questions at all, feel free to enter them in the chat while you're entering any questions. We do have a survey for you today. You should be able to click right on the link because we'd like to know what you thought about today's session, minus any technology issues. If you also need a certificate for attending today, go ahead and pop your email in the chat window, and I will, or no, actually I'm going to pop my email in the chat window. Sorry. I will add my email to the chat, and you can email me if you need a certificate. So let me do that really quickly. That way you guys don't have to have your emails spread all over the internet. All right, so anybody needing a certificate for today's session, you should be able just to click on my email address, and I will send you one, hopefully later this afternoon, if not tomorrow. I also want to let you all know that our next CSL in session will be on Tuesday, March 6th at noon Colorado time. We've got Teresa Allen and Aaron Boyenton who are going to be facilitating a discussion on partnerships with correctional libraries. So hopefully you can join us, and if that is not your cup of tea, maybe you know somebody who does do work with correctional facilities. And Kathleen has mentioned that her state requires all daycare to be licensed, so they don't do anything to recruit unlicensed, can't keep up with the demand for the licensed ones. Yeah, I think that can be kind of a tricky thing. But once again, like if you see families walking through your library that have kids, whether you think the children belong to them or not, you can always invite them to your programs and those kinds of things. Beth, did you and Pamela have any last statements you wanted to do before we wrap up for today?
Thanks for coming today. We hope you got some good ideas, and thank you so much for sharing your own ideas. This was you had fabulous examples and suggestions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your patience with all the technical difficulties, for all the questions you answer and the participation you all did. And I wanted to send you guys the link we have for the Colorado Day by Day Family Literacy Calendar, because the calendar has a lot of activities, daily activities you can do with your baby, toddlers, and but I can't find it right now, so maybe we can send it with I don't know, a link. Oh, I don't know if you guys have it over there, Beth, or Joyce have it with you. I don't have it with me right
I'm working on it.
Yeah,
now. Okay, thank you.
I will make sure to get all of the great ideas that you all shared in chat, as well as all of the resources posted to the CSL in Session website. I'm hoping for later this afternoon. It might be tomorrow, but you guys can check back, and we should have the archive of today's session, as well as all of the resources available for you all. So once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.